Are you wondering how to protect your investments? That's what we'll be sharing with you in this video. I'm delighted to have today as my guest an author of an amazing book. The book is called The Age of Anomaly, Spotting Financial Storms in a Sea of Uncertainty. Who doesn't want to do that? And his name is Andrei Polgar. And this book is amazing, and we'll tell you how you can get it. Now, it's available on Amazon, or you can just go to ageofanomaly.com, and you'll see various options to get the book. But there's a great special. You know, I love sales, and it's on sale for 99 cents through Sunday, this Sunday. So now you know where it is. And without further ado, let me say hello and introduce Andrei.
Thank you very much for having me. Hey, thank you for having me, and thank you guys for tuning in.
I'm delighted to have you here. Now, you know what? This book is so incredibly packed with information. It covers everything from the Tulip mania that we've all heard about to the financial crisis that so many of us are familiar with from just a few years ago in 2008, and everything in between. And it covers just so many practical ways for people to apply this information to their lives. I believe there were 9 pages of references, so it's got lots of really, really good research. This is not fluff. So what I'd love for you to share with us today, Andrei, are some practical ways that people can protect their investments. You had so many different ideas in there, you know, things like, well, I'll let you go for it.
In the Age of Anomaly, I kind of did my best to keep things logical, keep things easy to understand, and first and foremost, you have to know your economic history. I did my best to kind of present these things in an entertaining way so as not to lose my audience, but it's extremely important to know what happened, to draw parallels, because history might not repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And time again, from, of course, case studies like your Tulip mania that peaked in 1636 to 1637, to recent examples like the short domain mania of 2015 to 2016, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only economist who even studied that one. Whether we're talking about new stuff, old stuff, there are common denominators, there are parallels to be drawn. So first and foremost, know your economic history, because that gives you an unparalleled glimpse into human nature. Next, you will couple that strong historic reference system with a willingness to just stay on top of current events. And that way, you will no longer just watch the news like most consumers do, kind of like they're watching a movie. No, you're going to watch it and say, wait a second, this particular event happened 100 years ago and it led to this. Then something similar happened 200 years ago and that was the outcome. So essentially, it's that reference system that's going to give you clarity when interpreting current events. These two things combined are going to dramatically increase the likelihood that you're going to be able to spot the next financial crisis as early on as possible and position yourself accordingly. Next, however, and I spend a lot of time on this in my book as well, be humble. Kind of have the humility it takes to realize that no matter how hard you prepare, the next financial crisis might still catch you off guard. And therefore, I think it's wise to dedicate just as much time and energy to becoming more financially resilient in general. And through my book, I take people from asset class to asset class, whether it's new assets, whether it's, you know, your traditional stuff like stocks, real estate, precious metals, or exotic assets like domain names, cryptocurrencies, peer-to-peer lending. And my main goal is essentially turning people into logic-driven economic thinkers who don't depend on predictions that I make, or who don't depend on a strategy that I spoon-feed them. And essentially, it's all a matter of deciding for yourself. And in my book, I give you, I believe, all of the tools you need to do that. Deciding for yourself why you want to invest in this asset class. Well, I want to for this reason, for that reason. Why do you want to invest in the other asset class? For this reason, that reason. And once you internalize these things, you're going to be able, as Warren Buffett points out, it's a bit cliche, but it makes so much sense, to be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Or in other words, when people are busy thinking they're going to get rich during times of euphoria, you're going to say, wait a second, maybe it's time to take some money off the table. And the same way, when people are bottom selling their portfolios because they're in full on panic mode, you're going to say, wait, I've been following this particular stock for so long. I think this is a good buying opportunity. And the same principle is going to be valid when it comes to other assets.
Yeah.
So you have this, your willingness to come up with the best possible plan for your needs and to execute it accordingly. And finally, just pay a little bit of attention to other things that don't necessarily have to do with the financial dimension, but which help you become more resilient as well. And I'm talking about things like the mental resilience dimension. I focus on that as well. How to cope with losses. This is where a lot of investors end up losing just a ton of money because they have this huge loss, and then they make all sorts of mistakes because it gets into their head. They revenge trade. They want to recoup their investors, gambler's fallacy kind of thing. And once again, by staying on top of things that don't necessarily have to do with economics or finance, but kind of tie into the bigger picture, it's this entire puzzle, and precisely that has been the main goal with the Age of Anomaly, creating this, comprehensive from A to Z type guide that tells people, look, this is the big picture. It may sound complex, but fortunately, if you just kind of have the willingness it takes to dedicate a little bit of time to positioning yourself, it's going to make a world of a difference. And it's why I'm here in front of you today when nobody's panicking, when things are calm. And my main message to people is this. Whether you buy the Age of Anomaly or not, whether you subscribe to 1 Minute Economics or not, just promise me that you're going to do something to meaningfully think about what we've discussed today and take some form of action as well. Because that's what it all boils down to. If you wait until everyone around you starts panicking, then you can have the smartest economist in the world by your side, and there won't be much he can do for you.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. It's so true. I mean, so much of this book it really, really resonated with me. First of all, as you can probably see from my age, I've been through several bull markets and bear markets. And everything you said, I second it. And I think at one point you said, is it worth your financial, safety to just spend an hour or two? It's not that complicated. And I love the simplicity that you give. I mean, there's a lot of data there. There's a lot of great information, but there's sensible, practical tips that everybody can take away. Now, I'd like to mention a few of my favorite things about the book. I said that it covers everything from the Tulip mania forward, and I love that because, like you say, we forget when times are great. We forget what it was like in 2009 and 2010 when everybody starts paying attention to protecting their investments. We forget about it, but because it's been such a strong bull market for so long. So no matter what's going on, by the time you see this, we may have had a major bear market again. So whatever is going on when you see this, pay attention to what's going on and sort of where we are overall, and look to history, look to the things that are in Andrei's book, and recognize them again. I also love, you said no one can predict the future exactly, and I always say nobody can be exactly sure when it's coming, but you can be prepared without being paranoid, and I love that. That's a great way to put it.
I would much rather start preparing even a year or two too early than being a week too late. And that's kind of the main selling point. If you're willing to put in just a little bit of time now, and this is what I do with my 1 Minute Economics YouTube channel, the same principle with my book, I try to give people the best possible bang for their time as well as, that I possibly can. Because at the end of the day, what I can promise you is that when reading this book, it's not going to seem like this arrogant economist is talking down on you from his ivory tower. It's just going to seem that kind of like what we're having right now. You have a friend who's giving you a few hands-on practical tips, a friend who just so happens to be good at economics. Yeah.
And as an economist, it kind of threw me because you're quite funny too, I find. And I found the book, entertaining in that way, And I also love that you gave an overview of all the asset classes, and I love that you threw in though things that we've discovered in creating our our income streams in the second half of our life, which I write and talk about a lot. You throw in things that we've discovered are really great assets as far as income generation, but also wealth building, like websites and like domain names, as we discussed the other day. And so I love that you aren't, people think, how to build wealth. They think of stocks, and they may think of real estate, which I love that you throw that in. I love real estate too, but that's sort of it. And so now with interest rates so low, it's so important to expand and look at other opportunities. And I love that you included all that and really great information about all those different categories.
Yeah, there are just so many awesome asset classes that do such a great job of complementing one another. And it's what I keep telling people. When you're investing, there's no need to pick sides. There's no need to fall in love with one asset class or another. Just make them all work in your favor, or not all of them, the ones that make sense for someone in your situation. And you're going to be in just an unbelievably good position. And I like that you've mentioned that the book is entertaining. I'm really happy you feel that way, because that's the only thing I care about as an economist. Whether I'm making videos or writing books, the only thing I care about is for my methods to work. Because if people stop reading the book, or if people don't watch my videos, then it's all in vain. So essentially, the biggest victory I could possibly hope for is precisely that, for people to say, look, I gained information, I was entertained, and in my subconscious, I reinforce the idea that learning and economics and all this stuff can actually be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it feels great to feel like you have some sort of, when you have knowledge is control, and it's power over your life savings, and I think when you are knowledgeable, then you're happier and you feel better, and who doesn't want that, right? So
definitely.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Is there any final point you would like to add, Andrei, that we haven't touched on?
The only thing I would like people to do after watching this video is not close this browser tab before making a commitment to themselves to do something. I kind of did my best to practically give the book away, especially until Sunday. So essentially the 99 cents is just a symbolic way for people to have some skin in the game, so that they read my content from the perspective of someone who is invested in it in one way or another. But other than that, I just hope viewers have been able to extract a ton of value from our discussion. And the stakes are high. The stakes are high, but there's no need to panic. There's no need to be depressed. It certainly won't do you any good. Just be an optimist in life, but when preparing and when making plans, be pessimistic. I believe that's a perfectly acceptable balance. Yeah, absolutely. So the page again is the Age of Anomaly. And Anomaly is ANOMALY.com. That's a tricky one, I find. Exactly. Of course, they can just type in the name of the book, Age of Anomaly, on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, on iBooks, which is Apple's app, and on Kobo, or on ageofanomaly.com. They can find the links to all the places where the book is being sold.
Absolutely, yes, and I guarantee you it's worth well more than 99 cents. Trust me. So head on over and get it. You won't regret it. And Andrei, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom here with us today.
Thank you for the opportunity, and be careful out there, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.